Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the World Championship Series Season 3. We're going to be doing some challenger matches today and tomorrow. I am Nathanius Fabricant. Joining me for the first time here in the casting desk, we have Jared Lycan Williams. Lycan, how you doing, man?
Happier than a widow mine and a pro blind Nate. WCS, Challenger League, on the edge of Premier. A lot of players there, and this is where stories and hype are made.
Yeah, that's right. We have 3 best of 5s to bring you guys today. We'll have 4 tomorrow, and these are all seeding into Premier League, as you mentioned, as we get ready for Season 3 of the World Championship Series, the final season this year. You know, we talk about all great things like Legacy, the Void coming and whatnot, and this could be the last big Heart of the Swarm match, last season that we see. So far, in case you guys want to know what the schedule for this week will be, we are doing the first 3 of these best of 5s. Please disregard the times on the right. We are not going to hold up or waste your time waiting for matches to start if we are able to get them going as soon as possible. But, you know, the first 3 we're going to do, MaSa Bales, Semper Jadong, Stardust Neeb. Which match stands out to you the most, Lycan?
I think MaSa Bales is going to be excellent. We've got 2 North American players. It's MaSa, Bales. Bales, one of the top Protoss in North America, definitely, you know, right there with Huck and Puck. And MaSa, his drop style, he's going to play aggressive. He's going to be a lot of fun to watch, especially in the TvP.
Yeah, definitely looks like the closest matchup that we'll have. And then, of course, tomorrow you guys will be able to see all your other favorites play, like Huck, Polt, QXC, Violet, Xenocider, Hitman making one of his appearances. Very few times you've actually seen him try to qualify for the World Championship Series. I'm excited to see that. And then, of course, later on today, I think we were talking about this before. We're like, Neeb is actually qualifying. He actually qualified for this season as Protoss.
Yeah.
For those of you that missed out last year, Season 1, he made it to the top 16 as Terran.
Yeah, he is, I believe, the only player to qualify for WCS under 2 different races.
Yeah, he pulled a classic, or I guess a revert. Yeah, he pulled a classic. He's like, you know, Protoss is actually so difficult to beat. He's like, screw it, I'm just going to play Protoss myself. And now here he is. He's qualified again.
Yeah, he started off a little rough with the Protoss, you know, getting used to, I guess, the mechanics of the race. But, you know, he's increasing and improving, and he's definitely looking good now.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, like we said, our first series we're going to go into is going to be MaSa and Bales. The lobby is up. We have the map list. We're going to start this series off on Coda, and I think you have the rest of the maps, like it?
Yeah, we're going Coda, then it'll be Cactus Valley, Iron Fortress, Moonlight Madness, and then lastly Terraform. Yeah,
so I'm kind of, it's like one of those series that you want to see go to the end because you get all of those maps, of course. Never a bad time for you guys to hit us up, of course. So, you know, we still always love to hear your tweets. We'll be checking them during the breaks and whatnot. Hashtag WCS. Let us know how you're enjoying. You know, this is the beginning. This is like actually the beginning. Europe hasn't done their Challenger broadcast yet, so this is the very start of Season 3 for the World Championship Series. There's a lot of players that will be looking to secure enough WCS points to go to the Global Finals at BlizzCon in a couple of months, and that is looming ever so close, man. You know, there's a lot. I don't think in our first match here, neither of these guys have quite enough points to look at that, but, you know, there's prestige being, you know, the best North American players, but also a lot of money to make it into Premier.
Yeah, it's the last leg of WCS. Season 3, this is their last chance to continue a WCS career, maybe make their first WCS career. So, I mean, even without BlizzCon being on the horizon for some of these players, it's still a very exciting prospect of continuing on, making it into Premier League.
Yeah, I think especially for someone like Bales, who's been touted as like an up-and-coming player for a long time in North America. Now he's here once again. He's qualified. This isn't like the first time ever for him qualifying for WCS, but he's really trying to, I guess, make a name for himself. You know, Team Flipside picked up him and Puck this last year, as well as Jon Snow, and Jon Snow's teammate also managed to qualify. Like, these are the guys that have just barely been behind the Scarlets, you know, Puck the Huck, and that's always something cool to follow because MaSa's been around a little bit. We got to see him actually competing in the round of 32 for WCS last season, and he didn't quite get as far as he would have hoped to. So this is that chance for Bales to be like, actually, I'm the guy that belongs here.
Yeah, I'm excited to see MaSa play. You know, we saw him play for Red Bull the other day. We saw him playing alongside Violet, actually, in the Archon Mode tournament, and that was exciting. And now he's here. He's at the edge of WCS, and I want to see, you know, what he's capable of. TvP is an exciting matchup. MaSa is, you know, a Toronto hero. He goes to all the lands. He does have a lot of tournament experience, a lot of live experience.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how that translates over into WCS, if that kind of confidence carries over in his play today.
Yeah, it hasn't been too tough for him. He's usually quite good when it comes to like online tournaments or when they're playing clan wars for Root and whatnot. And I think back to like big online tournaments. I guess the Ender's Game on Blu-ray tournament is kind of like ancient history, but I think that's like the last like big run that comes to my mind, by default. And then Bales, for Protoss versus Terran, he plays a pretty interesting style. I wouldn't be surprised if MaSa plays too heavily into like the current meta of TvP with like fast mine drops or anything. Bales is the kind of guy, he practices the Huck a lot, likes his Stargate openings. I wouldn't be surprised to see some Phoenix play, maybe an Oracle into Phoenix, but this is a player that's very difficult to get a 1-over on, since Bales is very highly ranked on both the North American ladder, where you see just pretty much everything crazy that you could possibly see, but he's also very highly ranked on the European ladder, and that is going to open up a lot of interesting opportunities. But as you guys can see, we are loaded into the first map of our first best of 5 here. You're watching the World Championship Series. In the top left, we have the red Terran player representing Root Gaming. He's MaSa.
And in the bottom right, representing Flipside Tactics, it is the blue Protoss, Bales.
That's right. So Coda, I mean, we've seen this map quite a bit. I don't think either of us are surprised liking to see this as the first map of the series. It's a very standard map. Good amount of drop space for Terran, but that's kind of like a given if you're Protoss. Like, obviously the Terran's going to try to drop you at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Widow Mines are a pain. Yeah, it's very vanilla, very favorable for all the races. It's going to be exciting to see if there's some little early aggression from the Protoss. There's that a very wide ramp for the Protoss to run up, and I'm curious to see what MaSa is going to go for. Do you have any expectations?
I wouldn't be surprised to see him open up with a quick gas after this barracks and just go into a Reaper Scout. Already going for a 13th SCV. Actually, before that gas, MaSa's kind of saying, well, I'm going to open up a little bit, maybe a little bit cheekier. He has his SCV rallied out, so he's going to be going for a quick scout. But, in this particular instance, it is a 2-player map. He knows where Bales is spawned, so he's mostly concerned with just knowing how greedy Bales is going to be. Bales is someone that has not been too shy to go for, greedy on the side of greedier builds. I don't really see Bales as a cheeser, maybe a Stargater, but he usually builds them in his base. So MaSa is just choosing a more defensive opening, more economic. He won't have that great scouting, but I guess he's kind of studied Bales, and he says, I don't think I have to actually worry about a proxy Stargate in this series.
No, and proxy Stargate is something, you can get it really close to the base. You can get an Oracle in there. It can do a lot of damage. It's not something that Terrans like to have to deal with. It definitely drives the play. But if MaSa can get away without a Stargate, I think it's going to be a pretty good mid-game, late game from these two.
Yeah, and we even see he's built a second depot to deny scouting. So what he's saying to Bales is, I might actually have gas. You have no way of knowing. And even if the probe survives and it makes its way out, MaSa's on the other side. He's like, yeah, I'm just engineering bay blocking you. And Bales just starts this Zealot. Obviously, a lot of Protoss players, they want to, when they try to expand, you don't want to build the Zealot because that 100 minerals delays your Nexus. But now, with the engineering bay basically being done, he can cancel it as soon as it runs out of hit points, and well, MaSa can just freely expand behind this in a very comfortable, safe manner. Yeah,
that engineering bay being so far up, that is a lot of time without getting that expansion, and it kind of drives what Bales is going to have to do. And I'm looking forward to seeing what MaSa is going to pull out. We still just see the gas coming down just now. Double gas. I think we're going to probably see maybe a Widow Mine follow-up to this.
Yeah, I think that would make a lot of sense. Like, most of the time you go for 3 barracks after you expand, and that's your way of just getting out a bunch of Marines to deal with something like a 2-base Oracle or, Mothership Core Stalker Poke. But since the engineering bay is here, MaSa knows that the Mothership Core is busy wailing away on the engineering bay. It'll take some time for it to cross the map if Bales wants to get aggressive. And there we see, as soon as the engineering bay gets close to dying, just cancels it. But the SCV being left here from MaSa also allows him just to see the Nexus. You play on North American ladder, you're going to see all sorts of crazy stuff. And now he knows 100% there is another base. Bales didn't just throw down 2 extra gateways. He's not about to go, full YOLO with a massive 4-gate all-in or anything like that.
No, MaSa's definitely feeling comfortable right now. He sees that the expansion is going down, and I think, like you said, he knows that there's nothing crazy coming, so he gets to go ahead and play as he wants to play. And we do see the Robo coming down, though, so any kind of mine drop might get shut down just in time, especially with the factory not being done.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird build that MaSa's actually gone for, because you pointed out the double gas follow-up, and he sees this robotics facility, but he actually squeezed in a pretty quick second barracks behind this, and this is, out of a 1 barracks expand, a highly unusual build order. He's going to still have stim pretty late relative to when his medevacs come out, but he could also mine drop. Like he has a good couple of options, and going straight for concussive shell, he's actually looking to just get very quickly aggressive. Such an unusual opening actually out of him. I'm quite intrigued by this build of MaSa. It's not super out of the ordinary. It's just a weird way that he's gone about getting the standard setup.
Yeah, MaSa is a guy that likes to cut corners and get different units and a different approach than most Terran players like to. And I think what we're going to see is, like you said, we are going to see that aggression. He's going to get over there, bait the photon overcharge, this little hit squad of Marines and a Marauder. It's going to go over there, hopefully catch a Stalker or two out of position.
Yeah, with the concussive shell, that would be a really big play. As we see, he puts the Marauder up front so that if they run into a Stalker, you know, once concussive shell is done, the Stalker is going to die. Like, there's no escape. But he still gets the mine. He still gets the medevac behind it. And we should see him start up stim as soon as he can afford to as well. So despite the fact that this is looking like an early barracks pressure, he's pulled all the gateway units to the front, but he still wants to go for a mine drop behind it and try to catch Bales out of position.
Yeah, that would be pretty good. He gets over there, he gets to the front, he gets the photon overcharge, maybe catches a few units. And the observer, you know, you're not going to invest into too many observers this early on. We do have a second one coming out, but Widow Mine drop should be coming out soon. He does force the photon overcharge, and he is going to get a few probes and not going to get that Stalker, though.
Yeah, actually a pretty hefty loss, really. Just getting a single worker for a Marauder and 7 Marines. Like, all he saw were that there were Stalkers. But, you know, as observers, and we can see that there's no Twilight Council. There's no blink on the way. So it's not like he has to worry about a counterattack. You know, Bales is just being very defensive. And maybe these Stalkers being pulled to the natural is going to help. That mine drop is getting ever closer. Yeah, maybe he tries to make a play.
He does have the gateway units out of position. That photon overcharge is not ready on the mothership core. So those mine drops, if he's not reactive, could do. But he pulls out, pulls away, and there is the photon overcharge now ready. And oh wow, four probes killed for 2 Widow Mines.
Yeah, I mean, he pulled some of those probes away. The Widow Mine kind of blocked them from being able to move it first. I didn't think he'd actually get the detonation on the probes, and to be fair, I thought he would actually get more probes if he was able to hit on that side. So he gets something for it. I think not losing the medevac is the most important factor here, because he can bring it back, he can use it for his battle forces. You know, stim is almost done. We're going to be seeing that aggressive bio play come out that, you know, basically every Terran goes for very soon.
Yeah, and this second mine drop does get shut down, and it's a little unfortunate. He's still behind in workers even after that, so I don't believe he has been taking any favorable trades, and that's something that MaSa likes to do. Before he gets to the mid-late game, he wants to take an advantage.
I don't think it's the worst spot ever. Like, he's behind on workers, but you still have to take into account that the mules are going to help to even that economy. It's about 4 workers per, so MaSa should be pulling in just a little bit more. Although, of course, you'd like to keep it, you know, more even, or if you're ahead with workers as a Terran, you're always very happy. But Bales, the positioning of these Stalkers, like, he knows that MaSa still has those medevacs out on the map, and this is where MaSa's going to try to make a big play. I don't think either of these mines should be able to detonate on workers, though.
Nope, not at all. Mine is going to get the plant. Might get a Stalker or a Zealot. Zealot's going to be sacrificed, his life for ire, but no probes or any big gas units go down.
Yeah. I guess at this point it's just the threat, right? MaSa wants to have at least 1 medevac there and basically say, if you leave your base, you're going to get dropped. The forges have only just finished. So with this and 1-1 starting, those 2 upgrades basically say, hey, I'm going to continue to sit back. I'm not going to overextend myself by trying to grab a 3rd base too quickly. I'm just going to get 1-1. Maybe build 3-4 Colossi and just try to kill you. Like, he's keeping the option of a 2-base push on the table. But we also have to consider that because MaSa hasn't taken a 3rd base, and I don't believe he even has a 3rd command center, Bales is under absolutely no pressure at all to expand. If you're Protoss on 2 bases, you can happily sit on 2 bases forever if the Terran is also on 2.
Oh, he pulled those pros back a little too soon and got 4 instead of 1.
Yeah, that's actually not bad for MaSa. You see these probes actually run away in the natural as well. He's trying to pull everything out of position. One of those medevacs does get snapped up quite quickly. He sees the Big Daddy Colossus. He doesn't want to fight it just yet. But that worker lead that MaSa's been able to take with these couple of Widow Mine detonations, it's actually quite nice. And, you know, being ahead on economy like this, when it's 2 base versus 2 base, he can just happily plop down that 3rd command center. And pushing across the map for Bales is going to be very, very difficult to do.
Yeah, we don't see a... he does see the Colossus.
Oh, you got the Observer.
Oh,
this Widow Mine could get a big hit. Ooh, well, just 2 probes. I'm not going to lie. I was expecting a lot more.
Yeah. This is not a very happy Widow Mine, but we do see he's going for the drop, going to go to the main. If there isn't an Observer, it might be able to get a little bit of damage done.
Yeah, trying to pick off anything that he can would be really nice in this stage. Like, the Terran's up 10 workers. He still has mules, and that, you know, even if he doesn't use the mules because he's ahead in workers, it's okay to just scan and kill observers. He's already making more money than the Protoss. He's not really concerned at this point. Now, Bales has to make a choice. He can try to push out with this 1-1 and take his 3rd base. He could try to make a big push with the 1-1 and actually try to kill MaSa, or he starts 2-2 and just continues to build Colossi and powers up for like some sort of epic 2-base push. But that's going to be very difficult to do. +2 armor starts. I don't know if he can afford to get +2 attack as well and take his third base, though.
Yeah, and we see that a second starport is going down, so we're not going to see that MaSa play, or that Maru style where he just drops on the top of the Colossus. He might do it for a small engagement while he still has a low Colossus count, but he is planning to go to the Viking production.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. A lot of Terran players have been doing that quite a bit lately, especially considering MaSa's actual name is Maru, so you'd almost think it's like, oh, well, yeah, just build Medivacs all day. But he's going to get Vikings. He also gets an Armory Lycan, and that's a big deal. A lot of Terran players that like to go for big SCV pull timings off 2 starports will usually do it with without an Armory. They'll just go with 1-1 upgrades and just try to end the game. So MaSa is keeping open the option of going for a very long game if he has to.
Yeah, and we do see a pretty sizable bioforce and a lot of Medivacs from good healing could be possible. And maybe he's pulling over to the right side, going to get ready for a drop, possibly a 2-prong drop with the one we're seeing here.
Yeah, I like this spread out. And, you know, Bales does a good job of continuing to build observers, but, you know, like in as many observers as he builds, that's time where his Robo isn't building Colossi.
Right. Yep. Time, gas, but we have this little force going to get cleaned up, hopefully not picked off.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a good number of Stalkers there. He doesn't want to blink forward and get caught out. This army is pretty well spread, though. MaSa's going to try to sandwich the left side, but solid force fields are going to lock him away.
Yep, these 2 Marauders trying to get that Colossus, but they are going to get denied, and MaSa is pushed away.
Yeah, not too bad at all. Bale's actually doing a pretty solid job of defending here. Keep in mind that Viking count is continuing to climb back home. We need to keep our eyes open for any type of possible transition. +2 upgrades are almost ready for Bales. Now, this is still a very large force from the Terran, but without the +2 attack, that armor makes any type of SCV pull very, very risky. With charge and +2, Zealots absolutely wreck Marines and Marauders, especially SCV pulls. So this is still a pretty standard TvP, all things said and done, and Bales has to be happy. He doesn't have the gases on his third base, so he can afford to produce a ridiculous number of Zealots as well.
Yeah, Zealots, he doesn't have many force fields, but he does have Zealots, and there's going to be a nice meat to keep the Bio army away from those Colossus while the Colossus just do their thing and shred them.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. The Vikings are going to come up top, immediately snipe this Colossus here, though. No AoE to defend this third base, Lycan.
I think this is definitely a good position. He's going to get the base. Hopefully none of those Vikings get sniped off. A few of them going down to the Stalkers, but he is going to get a second Colossus.
Yeah, unfortunately, 2 Colossi still remain as most of the Vikings haven't cleaned up. We see those Zealots going to work with the charge, with the +2, just trying to meat shield, as you said, for these forces as they continue to push back across. And MaSa has to be very careful. Without any of those Vikings, he's in a position where Bales could potentially just counterattack all the way to his third base.
Yep, these units are getting low. The Stalkers are able to chase with Blink. I think it was a pretty decent trade. He did get a command. He did get the Nexus, so he's now up a base against Bales. He did get 2 Colossi.
Yeah, denying the base is especially important because that mineral income is what is funding all of the Zealots that Bales has been building to help throw in front of this army. And now he's going to replenish those forces just a little bit more slowly.
Yeah, those Zealots are pretty tanky, though. They do get up on them. They are ahead in upgrades.
Yeah, he's even going for +3.
Yep, armor just now, +2 armor just now starting for the Terran. So those Zealots are definitely able to do a lot of work on the Bioforce.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We don't have a 4th base yet for either player. MaSa, who's been on that 3rd for quite some time now, needs to be thinking a little bit more about the later stage. He's going to load up 4 Medivacs. He's getting ready for a big drop, potentially into the main as his +2 finishes up. Some Vikings are in position to catch any defensive units, but that's a lot of Stalkers. If he gets caught going in here, this could be really ugly for him. He's going to be able to unload the Stalkers, blink forward.
Yep, and he warps in, tries to get a little meat shield up. These Bio units are going to do a lot of damage to the Stalkers, and I think he might be able to get a decent trade out of this.
Yeah, unfortunately, losing the Medivacs is what really hurts. And at the same time, he's going to try to push this third base once again. 3 Colossi, losing one of them very quickly, though the Stalkers aren't in a position to actually defend the Colossi.
Nope, and the Vikings taking down the Colossi very fast, and the Bio moving forward. Another round of warp-ins trying to stop this Bio, but it's moving up to the main. Those Zealots are going to do a lot, especially with the support of the Stalker. But that, as you were, the Colossus, and it is going to go down to this Bio.
It's a very tricky position to be in because he lost a lot of his expensive units. He lost all his Vikings, he lost all of his Medivacs, and normally you're okay to trade away your Bio as a Terran. But you do, you know, those Medivacs are very expensive. Those are what give your units the staying power to continue to finish the fight, as it were. Those really good upgrades for Bales are the reason why he hasn't lost this game yet, and it's also why he's ahead on supply. It's pretty impressive that Bales, despite losing so many Colossi to all those Vikings, is still in a very manageable position when it comes to the state of this game.
Yeah, I'm curious, Nate, with the Colossi count reset, just another one about to come out real soon. The Viking count is going to be pretty decent for MaSa, especially for handling one, but there is the upgrade lead, especially with Zealots. Do you think that soon engagement would definitely favor Bales over MaSa?
Yeah, with the +3, it's a huge deal. And you have to consider that even though the Colossi got reset, the Viking count still isn't that great because MaSa also had to replace all of his medevacs. So, yeah, you can replace the medevacs quickly with 2 starports with reactors, but then you're not building Vikings. So it's actually okay for Bales to go back into building 1 Colossus at a time, even though he has so few, because the Viking count isn't scaling as far as production goes.
Right, and now he is pumping out a lot of Widow Mines. So he sees the Archons, he sees the Zealots, and he's making that switch to fill some of his bio role with the Widow Mines. I think it's definitely a good choice, especially with Drilling Claws.
Yeah, it's really, really good against the Zealots. Like, that splash damage is going to be absolutely huge, and needs to be careful, of course, not to get splashed onto himself, but we see those Zealots get chunked out very quickly. It's a good way to deal with the upgrade discrepancy that you brought up as well. Bales just needs to, of course, keep a good number of Stalkers here, as those Vikings do heavily outrange the Archons.
Now, we don't see Bales going for a Storm just yet, so with that, would Ghost be a good choice for MaSa at this point in the game?
I mean, I guess Ghosts are never bad. I think since he's getting a 4th base, he's getting a pretty late Ghost Academy, all things said and done. If there was Storm earlier, I think he would have needed it faster, but EMP is always good against Protoss because every Protoss unit has shields, and especially against the Archons, if you're going to get into a big straight-up head-to-head engagement, Archons are pure shields.
Yep, he's going to take this engagement, and he sees that there's 2 Colossi, not really a great place to push in, especially up a ramp.
Yeah, 3rd Colossus actually shows up behind that skin, which he doesn't know about yet. So, and this is a tough spot to push into. Like, I think that Bales should be able to get this 4th. He's taking it in the bottom left, so it's a little bit further away than the rest of his forces, but I have to imagine that he's saying to himself, okay, well, MaSa's mostly on the right side. Just keep defending the right side. But a drop does get loaded as MaSa starts his 5th base. We're getting into the late game for TvP here.
Yeah, and MaSa is going to continue trying to drop. There is only 1 Colossi, and that's not going to really do a lot against this Bioforce, especially with all those Marauders. So the Marauders might try to chase that down or just get some worker kills. Going to definitely take out that Nexus.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good option as well. There's still some gas to be mined in the main base, and picking off a few more probes here is going to be very nice for him, as he won't be able to transfer those to his 4th. Now, keep in mind, he's pulled most of the army here. Bales pretty smartly still has a lot of forces at the 3rd, but look at the way these Widow Mines are actually blocking off. If he runs over and tries to get onto this base, we're going to see, yeah, the Archons actually soak up a lot of damage, but still having to trade out Archons just to go defend your base,
ooh,
that
2
hurts.
Archons.
2 Archons.
Ouch. Yeah, a lot of those shields going down, and he does manage to take out 2 Nexi.
Yeah, denying the base, very, very important. As you know, this is that stage of the game where even your natural is starting to run a little bit low on resources, and for the Terran player with mules, it hurts, but you can always lift off those bases and fly them to other locations. And for Bales, this is really tricky. His Mothership Core actually gets caught and picked off too, and those Widow Mines are all still active, taking more free shots on his army.
Yeah, great spread from the Widow Mines. That's a lot of room that Bales cannot engage into. That's a whole route of advance.
Yeah, does Bales actually have any observers left? I'm kind of curious. There are
2 observers.
There's 2. Okay, one that just came over to the army, and another one just came back. That one got sniped. He's doing. Oh, what am I just killed the next observer? Now he doesn't have any.
Jeez. Yeah, so, I mean, this is still a scary army. There are still 2 Colossi. There are a lot of Archons, a lot of damage.
The Widow Mine splash killed the 2nd observer. I kind of feel bad for him right now. And there's EMPs hitting a lot of these Zealots and Archons, too.
Yeah, definitely even things up. The armor upgrade is just about to finish for +3 on the bio.
Yeah, this situation's getting worse and worse for Bales. Like, MaSa just has so much money right now. He's locked down a Planetary on the 5th. And with all these Widow Mines and no observers, like, the photon cannon is the only detection that he has, but, you know, being pushed back to your photon cannon isn't good either.
Nope, this is the only heavily mining base, and it is somewhat getting shut down. This is a good spread, nice concave from MaSa, and I think that it may be an engagement that he needs to pull back from, though there's still a lot of splash damage from the Protoss, a lot of Zealots, a lot of Archons.
Yeah, the Widow Mines did quite a bit of work, and if he continues to bait this army out, I think they'll do a lot more.
Oh.
Runs right into them, takes quite a few big hits on that army. We have to keep in mind that MaSa is still producing a ton of forces back home, whereas Bales is running low on money. He needs to make something with this big, powerful army of his. He has the Archons, he has the Colossi. This is his chance, this is his opportunity to push in and make something happen. I think knocking down this 4th base is, I think Bales has to do it. Like, he can't sit back. He cannot allow MaSa to just recover and use this massive economy to get another lead.
Yeah, he has great production. He has constant bio, constant medevacs and Vikings coming out, more ghosts. There is not a lot that he can do. He is going to move in. He's going to try to take this base, might get some SCV kills, could possibly take down the Ghost Academy. This is where he needs to get that advantage.
Yeah, denying the Ghost Academy is really nice because it opens up the door for him to go back into more Archons. He could try to make that Storm transition as well that we haven't really seen. Oh boy, 3 Widow Mines actually just kind of relocated themselves. That could be awkward in about 5 seconds. Like, and I'm kind of nervous.
I don't see an Observer anywhere near. He does pull away though, so he's only going to lose a handful of probes.
I mean, every worker loss still hurts really badly at this point.
5 go down.
5 probes die. That Photon Cannon will be done by the time that they're ready to fire again. But he never rebuilt that 4th base, so Bales is still in a pretty all-in position. He has to continue to attack. He doesn't have a choice anymore. And SCVs actually get pulled defensively to try to stop this. There's the big stim from MaSa trying to stop this push.
There's a great concave. I don't think that Bales is going to be able to do anything. This is going to be the end of the game for game number 1, MaSa versus Bales.
Yeah, MaSa just cleans house. GG is called. And Bales, you know, a pretty solid start to the game. He did a really good job, I felt. Like, the first initial push, like, the 1 Marauder and the 7 Marines for a single probe, like, as a Terran player, like, I'm just imagining, like, that's, like, no, you don't want to make that investment and do nothing. And then the mine drops initially got shut down pretty well. The follow-up mine drop that got, like, 4 or 5 kills wasn't bad. And then everything just started to slowly tilt out of control. I feel like Bale's biggest success was getting onto 3 bases without taking damage because it really didn't feel like he was in a bad spot. And then he like crushed the first couple big pushes of MaSa pretty handily.
Yeah, there was a lot of drop play from MaSa that definitely helped him pull Bales out of position, keep Bales back on the back foot. And I think that if Bales had gone for maybe a Phoenix style, something he's very good at, a lot of good control, I think that might have helped shut that down and not make that such a volatile action.
Yeah, he got pulled out of position a lot, and I do think it was interesting because you mentioned earlier, like, not even going for Storm. With how late the Ghosts were, I think he had the time he needed to go for Storm, but I can understand the focus on upgrades. Like, that makes sense. Constantly building Colossi, I can see it, but maybe it comes down to he just got caught out of position, like pulled around too much, especially towards the end. Like, you couldn't save his 4th base. It was like 7 Widow Mines in between his 4th and his 3rd, and MaSa's just like, yeah, just come defend your base. It's okay, man. And then killed every single one of his observers as well. I think like must have been like 20 observers died that game.
Yeah, that was a lot of observer deaths. Rest in peace. What about going for upgrades versus Storm? I mean, I feel that Storm in some cases against Bio can definitely equalize things. Do you think it does it more so than upgrades would in the proper engagement?
I think it comes down to what Bales is probably worried about the most, because there's still some Terran players, even Flash, like recently in Pro League and like big matches against top tier players, has been doing SCV pulls again. And, you know, most Protoss players basically say, okay, well, if I go 2 base Colossus against that, defending is pretty easy. I just need to get my +2 upgrades with Charge and Colossus. Like, as long as I don't take a greedy 3rd, you can defend most SCV pull type plays. But against the style that MaSa went for, maybe a faster Storm would have been nice. MaSa didn't really pull any punches. We are loaded into game number 2. As you guys can see, you're watching World Championship Series Challenger Day 1. In the top left of Cactus Valley, you have the red Terran player representing Root for Root. He's MaSa.
And in the bottom right, the blue Protoss representing Flipside Tactics. It is Bales.
I mean, Bales, for all intents and purposes, still played a very good game of StarCraft. Actually, still quite impressive, but it really just seemed to... Things just really seem to get out of hand taking that 4th base. Because MaSa, it's not... Like, sometimes it comes down to pure control or pure macro or decision-making, but I really felt like the biggest issues in those games were that MaSa just scaled his economy so much better than Bales that even though Bales was trading well all game long, and even towards the end, he was still doing well, I felt, but he didn't have any money left. You know, there was no more gas in the tank for him to continue pushing forward, whereas MaSa, with 5 bases, it's like, okay, you lose 1, I still have that fresh one in the top right. Bales didn't have any economy to fall back on.
Yeah, this is an exciting map to watch a game on. It's going to be a lot of open space, a lot of room for drops. The Terran can possibly outmaneuver the Protoss in a lot of cases. Are we going to see a CC first, possibly?
Yeah, fast command center from MaSa, and that's a really good point. This map is huge. Engagements in the center of the map, it's like, usually when you think about like different matchups, the kind of engagements that you get, like Terrans can end up sieging each other, but usually just going to want to go around into those alleyways around the side. And for Terran versus Protoss, it's nice for Protoss run-bys later on if the Terran player isn't aware, but it makes those drops very annoying to deal with. It's the kind of map with how big it is. Bales is going to want to spread pylons out around the map, or maybe even go for some sort of... he could do defensive stalkers like he did last game, but he could also bust out the Phoenix that we talked about and just try to use those to section off those other areas. And this is interesting to me because we don't see too much of this. He's going that command center first that you talked about, into barracks, into gas. So no 2-racks follow-up. This is the kind of build that instantly loses to any Oracle opening, but MaSa seems very confident in his studying of Bales that he doesn't have to worry about that.
And what do you think Bales is going for? Because if you look at him, he had 2 gases, but he only had 1 probe in each gas. I mean, is he trying to just take a faster Nexus? And yep, there goes down to the Nexus.
Yeah, that's a great read. Straight up, this is a big map. You're much less likely, even if your opponent knew where you spawned at the start of the game and was going to cheese you, just because of how much bigger this map is, it would take a while to get there. And I think it's a pretty good calculated risk from Bales, because we have to imagine that if he did any studying of MaSa, then he says, okay, you're probably not going to 2-rax me on Cactus Valley, so I can squeeze out a faster Nexus, and I should be safe. We also need to keep in mind that MaSa didn't open Reaper on the last map either, so quick Nexus, all it really delays is usually some Cybernetics core units, and you didn't need them because there was no Reaper. You didn't have anything to chase around.
Right. We see Warp Gate is on the way. He is getting Stalkers out. Maybe he's going to go for a defensive blink, thinking that there will be the threat of Widow Mines again, and instead of the Robo, he might just try to, outmaneuver. We are seeing the Stargate coming down now, actually, so this is going to be Oracle.
This is what we were talking about, man. This is kind of what we wanted to see. It could be Oracle into Phoenix. I mean, it could also just be straight up Phoenix. I don't mind either. I think with how few Marines there are on the map, there's always room to get something done with an Oracle, although with this factory opening from MaSa, it's also very possible that he just builds a defensive Widow Mine or 2, since he won't have enough gas to actually start a Starport and a Widow Mine immediately. So it could be something weird like Hellions or just late mines. But the biggest key here is that the Phoenix can shut down any type of drop play. If he tries to do a mine drop, in an alternate universe, if this were Banshees, which no one does anymore, then Phoenix are a phenomenal way to shut that down. And MaSa is being very greedy, going for a 3rd command center behind this too. He's basically saying, I'm going to do a little bit of aggression and then power out an absurd economy.
Yeah, third base, it's exciting. I do like to see a Terran that gets that economy ramped up. Now, he does have a bunker here that's going to defend against the Stalker, so the Stalker won't get much done. But we do see a Robo coming down, and we do see Phoenix. I'm really excited about this, because as MaSa tries to go for those drop plays, it takes a lot of good control to be able to hold off Widow Mines, even with the Phoenix, right? So I think Bales is the kind of player that does have that capability.
Yeah, and all you really need to do is just be aware. If you're Bales and you know that someone's going to try to do a play like this, or once you realize it's happening, the Phoenix doesn't need to kill everything immediately. You push the medevac away, and then, just graviton beam the Widow Mines up, and the Stalkers can come kill them. Like, as long as the mines don't detonate, you're a happy camper, because it's such an investment that even though the Phoenix won't kill much of what MaSa has, the Phoenix will make it not worth for MaSa to go for the medevac drop, because his stim gets delayed so much.
Now, we do see Hellions coming in. They tried to get a run by, but there were gateway units ready. They were already weakened by the Stalkers that were out on the map, so nothing crazy there. So the Phoenix are out. They're back home. They're ready. I think he might just hold them here for a minute.
Yeah, and he knows now, though. You see those Hellions as a Protoss, and you think to yourself, well, there's really you're going to try to do something with a Starport. No Terran just opens with a factory and doesn't get a Starport, especially considering that Starport's like one of the most important structures in this matchup for Terran. So he should be keeping that in mind, and that's one of the reasons why he's going to keep his Phoenix at home, because he knows that something's coming. Whether it's a 4 Hellion drop or a 4 mine drop, Phoenix will be enough just by picking those units up into the air.
Yeah, and he got that fast Nexus, so he is going to have a good economy. So I think he's in a good position, and eventually he might be able to move on, maybe do a +2 Colossi Phoenix attack. It's going to shut down any sort of attempt to use Vikings, really.
Yeah, that's like the key strength of Phoenix Colossus. I will say that the biggest sticking point here for Bales, we see him chrono boosting out observers. It's very important that Bales realizes what's going on in this game. And when I say that, I mean the 3rd command center is something that, despite MaSa not being in a position to really do aggressive damage against the Phoenix, MaSa's still in a pretty good spot with the amount of income that he has from being able to build 3 workers at a time, from being able to drop those mules. Look at, if you just look at the worker count, 49 SCVs, now 50 to 46 probes, 2 base Protoss economy. Sure, it's nice, but the Terran not only has more workers, so he's pulling in a bit more naturally, but with 3 orbitals worth of mules, it's like having a whole extra base of saturation.
Yeah. So when we do see the Phoenix coming out, is he going to stop at about 5 or 6? How many is a good count when you're going against Terran with Phoenix Colossi?
I think he should be pretty comfortable just getting just about 5 or 6. Like, I'm not actually sure how many Phoenix he has at the moment. I like this cheeky Marine on top of a single Widow Mine out in the center of the map, basically saying, "Yeah, come kill me," and then the mine kills whatever went for him. But I have to imagine that right now, Bales is thinking less about Phoenix now and more about getting the upgrades for his Colossi, getting the armor upgrades. And the armor upgrades, usually we don't see Forge upgrades when Protoss players are focusing on Phoenix Colossus pure style. So I'm not even convinced that this is only going to be Phoenix Colossus. I think we could still see him go Blink and get a good amount of Stalkers later on in this game as well.
Yeah, we do see the Armory coming down as well. So we are going to see possibly that late game preparation again from MaSa.
Yeah, MaSa doesn't really seem like he's too worried about it. And, you know, Bale starts up another Phoenix. He's starting to realize that we're getting closer and closer to that time of the game where lots of drops come. But even MaSa, like, all his units are at home. And it leaves me wondering, you know, like, is he actually worried that maybe an Oracle is going to fly in or a Warp Prism or something? Like, he's not 100% sure what his opponent is doing. And, well, Zealot took the bait.
I believe he saw the Phoenix with the Hellions when he ran into the base. I believe the Phoenix did try to help shut that down. So if he's aware of that, then that's probably why he's not out on the map.
It would be silly to try and drop into this. Yeah, these Phoenix are going to prevent any medevacs. Like, maybe you can unload the units, but then the Phoenix are going to kill the medevacs for sure, and that means that your units can't escape from, you know, the Colossi. Twilight Council's finishing up. +1 armor is also almost done, so maybe we could see him move into just charge and +2. I think that's a pretty solid way of doing it, because usually when you play Phoenix Colossus, you just have extra minerals for Zealots, and yeah, that's what it's going to be. He does start up charge. We have 4 medevacs moving out of the map. Still a bit risky, in my opinion, Lycan.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they're going right to where those Phoenix are sitting, actually. So those are going to get shut down, possibly chased down.
That's not fun.
Nope, not at all. He's going to try for a double-pronged attack, too, so that third is a little exposed, might get a few worker kills, but the main drop, the one that has all that Bioforce in it, is going to be met with a few friendly Phoenix.
Yeah, this could actually get ugly really quickly. Like, the drop on the left side, I can see maybe if he drops that one first and pulls him out of position. But look at this. Bale's just like, he's on patrol. His Phoenix, they're patrolling.
Oh, there it is.
They see him rolling, and they're gonna deny that medevac drop.
Yep. Now MaSa was aware, but this is going to get shut down with 3 Colossi, a bunch of charge lots. There's nothing that's going to be done.
Great spread of the forces for Bales. His observer saw the drop right before it even hit, so he was already prepared. He was already anticipating that aggression would come in, and he saw these mines burn on the right side, so the Phoenix should not blindly fly into those either.
Yeah, definitely good situational awareness from both. Bales was there ready to stop the drops, and MaSa was there not letting his drops get caught by the Phoenix. Didn't lose a single medevac, so I think he's definitely taken the best advantage that he could from that and not losing anything.
Yeah, I think Bales has so far done a great job of defending right now. And there, MaSa's going to try to force this in. And the Phoenix actually were not immediately hitting on those medevacs, so they should all be able to unload. But maybe this was what he wanted. He's already got the Colossi here. He picks up the mines, prevents them from burrowing inside of his base. And all he really wants to do now is keep those medevacs from retreating. He's going to pick off 1 full medevac, going for 2. He's going to be able to at least kill it, but a good amount of the Bioforces still escape.
He's going to get 2 more medevacs over there, and on the left side, he is going to try that Colossi army was pulled out of position.
There's mines between that third base and the natural, so any units that try to come reinforce could get caught. The Colossi will be safe, but a few of these Zealots will not.
Nope, not at all. That force is going to get picked off. I don't think it's going to be able to get one of those Colossi. It is not half health.
Yeah. The observers see that there's still all this bio jockeying for positioning here, though, so he won't be caught off guard. And another massive bio force does get cleaned up by Bales. And I think Bale's doing a really solid job so far. Some of these Marines are going to try to flank from the back. They're very weak. They're heavily stimmed. 1 Colossus gets picked off. He's going for 2. It's very low, but the Phoenix shows up to lift up that Marauder.
Yeah, but there's a lot of Marauders coming from the back. He's got to micro that Colossi back, and he
barely saves it. How much health does that thing have? It's like must be 10
health.
hit points.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got no life. That Colossus
10 health. 2 health.
2 health.
Wow. Yeah, so, I mean, this is still a little bit of a scary force from MaSa. A lot of splash damage, though, from those Widow Mines, definitely helping Bales out.
Yeah, that's so interesting, you know, that usually you only go mines against a player that's like Charge Lot Archon Templar, because usually Colossi range is just so good against it, but he snapped up so many observers in this series, and a lot of those units are very fast. They kind of run into the mines, and they can't escape like the Phoenix, like the Zealots, and this has opened up those Widow Mines to be so useful in this game for MaSa.
Yeah, MaSa undaunted by the Phoenix, but still trying to do drops. Despite the Phoenix count being there, Phoenix are helping out, lifting up those Marauders. Then we have an attack on the left. I like the multi-pronged attack. He shuts down the Warp in pretty quickly. He's going to go for some probe kills now. 2 going down so far. That cannon might get a Colossus. Nope, he's going to pick up and leave.
Yeah, and the Widow Mines are still just being embedded everywhere. And there's several mines located around the perimeter of Bale's base. There's 2 outside that third. We had 1 outside the natural. There's still 1 by that Stargate. And these are all things. Yeah, these are all things that he has to keep his mind of. So he cleans up the 1 inside of his main base, but he still has these 2 here. And if any of these Zealots rush forward, they're like, oh yes, let's just charge into it. Well, then they die.
Yep. Yeah. Shields are going to be gone. There's that one. Oh, look at the side Templar. Oh man.
That could have been ugly.
Could have been disgusting. He does have that Widow Mine that was under the starport, so it's probably picked off at least one Phoenix on its way out.
Yeah, and we do have MaSa finally taking that 4th base. He's once again holding that economic advantage that we've been talking about in this series. And even though the worker count is the same, the meals are always going to be nice.
We do have Storm this time.
Yeah, but there is that Templar switch. That's a very good point. And the upgrades are a lot closer than they were in the last game as well. So Bales doesn't have that upgrade advantage that he was very comfortable with. It's going to be +3, +2 versus just +3 and +1 of Bales. So MaSa's in a good spot. He's trying to spread his forces out, get some harassed on burning those mines. Got a big spread. The Templar are not in position on this north flank as trying to focus on more Colossi. Barely any health in these medevacs as the Marauders continue to spread, but he's managing to kill the Colossi.
Yep, there's that Marauder style, just drops right on him. There's no Vikings here, and I think he's going to be able to clean up a lot of the forces that are left. There are the Phoenix there, and there are some reinforcements coming in. Zealots, one Archon gets down.
Yeah, that army being so much better upgraded, though, really allows him to keep pushing against these forces. And like you mentioned, that Maru style, not a single Viking to be seen, means that he can just continue to heal those Bile forces up. And yeah, the Phoenix are, it's like, okay, there's not much to contest the Phoenix in the air, but you don't need that many Marines to push them back.
Yeah, there was a storm. It helped a little bit, but I mean, Colossi went down. Now that you don't have any storms left, there is going to be an Archon that's going to be able to do a little bit.
Yeah, but the biggest thing is that he still has all those medevacs, and even with the low health on the Marines, he's baiting over back towards the mine, trying to get something out of this. Zoning
He's
away
not going to
those
see
Phoenix.
it. It's going to hit. Oh, no Phoenix lost. A lot of health.
He did wound quite a few of them. The next
there we
mine
go.
Gets
3 down.
Well, that's a great bait when you're not going to get away with those medevacs for sure.
Absolutely. So in this position, I mean, I think MaSa definitely a huge advantage.
Yeah, he's dominating in this game right now. He's got all the upgrades. He's feeling great. That massive supply lead, and the biggest things to keep in mind are just that he has everything he needs to keep pushing in. Like it's very scary to play versus Colossus Storm together. But that's like once you're at 160 supply, then it's like a truly nightmarish thing to deal with. But there's not enough Storms or Colossi that he really has to worry about either one. He just kind of spreads his forces out and does his thing. The Zealots are really the meat of this army right now, and that's where those Widow Mines are useful. Good job at stopping them from being able to burrow, but you can't stop them from kiting.
Yep, no, this is definitely a very awesome position to be in as a Terran, where you're not worried about getting that Ghost Academy, right? Where you're taking such great advantage through your engagements that you're just like, I'm just going to keep rallying units, and I'm just going to outposition you.
Yeah, he does need to make sure he doesn't overextend to the point where Bales could try a counter like he almost managed to pull off in the last game. But just look at this. He could just be like, okay, well, if you're going to defend that 3rd base so heavily, then I'll come over, push into your natural. But actually, we'll say this defense was pretty solid. I thought he was going to lose that Colossus, but now he's distracted just long enough for the army to come into the 3rd base. Another Colossus could get snapped up. Right here, he kills the 3rd Nexus and the Colossus.
Yep, MaSa just took a huge advantage in the game. A lot of probes are going to go down. There is now no base while MaSa's on 4 bases.
Yeah, there's actually like no income really for Bales. That natural expansion is running very low on resources. The main bases for both players basically mined out. Zealot counterattack is nice, but the reinforcements are going to continue forward. And this is what we talked about the last game. He's going for a counter now. He's been forced into desperation mode, but that Terran just has so much. Now the +3 armor's finished. He has all of the upgrades, and this is a pretty pathetic army from Bales right now. He's been pulled apart by the root player.
Yep, we do see actually a lot of factories coming down.
That's an interesting choice. I think MaSa's realized, like, I got this. I want to do something funny.
We're going to see Mass Widow Mine?
I mean, I wouldn't even mind to see him build Thors because Thors are awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know. If he wants to lose, he could try building tanks.
MaSa is in a great position. He's taking another base. He just stopped the economy from Bales. That's a base that's not mining at all. I mean, long distance mining.
I don't think he could ask for much else. Like, all MaSa really needs to do is just max out, build the ultimate army, and then go kill him. Like, he is just in that good of a position.
Yep, I feel with Bale so hell-bent on keeping that 3rd base up this time, this would be a great time to implement that drop play we've seen all game. Take out a lot of the production.
Yeah, I wish he'd started 4 Ghost Academies instead of 4 factories, though. Just build one, go for nukes or something crazy.
He does have 1 coming down, so 1 Ghost Academy finally on the way. I think he's getting tired of dealing with all the shields on the Archons and the Zealots.
I mean, it would even help against the Phoenix, preventing them from being able to lift up anything like these Widow Mines, as they've been doing so well in this game. And, he hasn't killed quite as many observers, so the vision has been good for Bales, but now it's just like, okay, he sees something that he can't really deal with, and MaSa's respecting him a lot by continuing to allow himself to be kited this far back. Like, he's kind of bleeding out a lot of forces.
Yeah, but we do have another counterattack from MaSa. He's going forward. There isn't really anything to defend.
Yeah, this is a tricky spot. Like, he baited that army all the way out on that left side, and he's just taking advantage of the position again. The Widow Mines just doing a really good job of catching everything, trying to cross between these bases, with softening up the Archons, killing the Zealots, and opening the door for MaSa to continue to just style on Bale's face right now.
Yeah, he can focus down those Archons, easy peasy. Stop that Colossi from coming out. Focuses
really
on the
nice.
Colossi over it, and he's going to get another Colossi. Marauder's trying to go around, takes one out, takes two out, and a lot more Zealots going down. GG, MaSa takes game number 2 against Flipside Bales.
Yeah, game number 2 goes to MaSa. He finds himself one map win away from going to Premier for this season to make his way into the round of 32. He started 3 tech labs on those factories at the very end of the game. We didn't actually get to see them finish. I want to believe he would have just made a bunch of Thors.
Yeah, would have been nice. Thors are a good unit. Awesome.
Yeah, don't really work well against Protoss because of how slow and clunky they are. But it would have been like a neat way to finish the game, because we've seen there are like some guys in the past that have done it against Phoenix-based players, where it's like, you know, it can be useful. And against Colossi, if you set them to like their single target mode, they will actually use it against Colossus at 10 range. So it would have been cool.
Yeah, I mean, the Zealots go in, they try to attack the Thor, and then the bio behind it just shreds them.
Yeah, yeah. We don't really see Thors, but I mean, he had 4 factories, so it was just like he's got to do something with it, right?
Yeah.
Really nice spot to be in, though, being up 2-0 like that. What was the third map again?
Third map is going to be Iron Fortress.
Another pretty good TvP map. I'm kind of surprised by the way that Veto's must have gone, that it ended up like this. I feel like Bales, some of the newer maps are considered to be more weird, but Protoss players have had some like good cheeses on those maps, like some good weird strategies on either. I mean, we've seen some really weird stuff on like which one was it? Moonlight Madness.
Yeah.
And like GSL, like in GSL and Kespa Cup and all that jazz, like.
Flash dropping on the top of that that little section in between the base, denying the gas for the Zerg player, things like that.
Yeah. And Proxy Tempests.
Yes.
I don't know if that's in Bale's playbook, but I mean, right now, like, Roddy just must be getting so many phone calls. Everyone's like, look, man, I'm seeing this Proxy Tempest stuff. I need to know the build order.
Twice last night in GSL, Proxy Tempest, Roddy build.
That's pretty sick.
Yep.
That's actually crazy that so many people are doing that. It makes me not want a ladder. We are loaded into game number 3. We are on Iron Fortress, and this gentleman in the bottom left, if he wins this map, he will advance to Premier League. He is Roots MaSa.
Yep, he's in the bottom right. He's down 2-0 against MaSa. If he's going to come back, it has to be now. He has to win 2 games in a row and then a third if he wants his chance at Premier League. Give it up. Flipside Tactics Bales.
Flipside Tactics. Another one of those teams that's kind of like recent, I would say. It doesn't feel as recent, I guess, anymore, but somewhat recently getting into StarCraft. We talked about they picked up Jon Snow, they picked up Bales, they picked up Puck as well. And I mostly know about them because they're one of those other like multi-game teams. There's not quite so many of them in StarCraft at the moment. I think the only other one that really comes to mind is NVUS, who picked up Violet as well. You know, and these are the kinds of guys that also do big competitions in other games like Counter-Strike, etc. So these are all. I like seeing more teams come into StarCraft. I think with Legacy of the Void on the horizon as well, I'd love to see more of these players get opportunities and support, because guys like Bales are, they're the future, man. You didn't know about Bales last year. This year, you're seeing more of them. Hopefully next year, Bales is kicking some serious ass in Legacy of the Void.
Yeah, that's one of the exciting things about, the new WCS, the way things have changed, is you get to see those new faces, that new blood, and I definitely think the stories are extremely exciting. Do you think we're going to see something cheeky from Bales? He's saying I'm down 2-0. Do you think he's going to try?
I don't know, man. MaSa's builds are just weird enough that if Bales does anything too cheeky, he could just get blindsided. Like this game, MaSa's actually opening totally standard. We see that really quick Reaper, as many Terran players are wont to do in this scenario, and the SCV scout is going to go straight to Bale's base, so the Reaper will also be able to go right to Bale's, be able to immediately harass him. If he tried to go out for that crazy fast Nexus again, and he delays something like his Stalker or his Mothership Core, he could lose quite a few probes. And that's another thing we could always call Roddy about, because I've seen on his stream, man, Protoss players, they don't like having to deal with the Reaper in their mineral line.
Yeah, and we might see that fast Nexus. He only had 3 probes in gas, and there it is, the Nexus going down. This is close spawn, Nate. There's a lot of aggression that could happen. There's not a lot of rush distance for these Marines to run over there and force a photon to overcharge. Maybe he can get a few probe kills.
That Reaper actually was rallied incorrectly, so he could have already been inside the base as the mothership core is not done yet, but he's still going to go scout cross spawn. I guess he had it just pre-rallied before, or maybe his SCV just didn't realize it yet. It's tucked inside the main base now.
Yeah, and Bales is just way off, going north instead of to the left. So he's not going to get to see MaSa for a little bit of time.
That's a big deal. Most Protoss players really like to get that fast probe scout so that they can know whether or not the Terran has followed up that Reaper with either gas for a fast mine drop or 2 more barracks for a bio-based play. And in this game, it will be 2 extra barracks. Bales has no way to know that, so he might still end up opening worried about a mine drop, and that really hurts because he could get away with a quick forge right now if he wanted.
Yeah, I definitely think he is worried about a mine drop. That's why he has the fast robotics facility coming down.
Yeah, because unless you're going to go for quick Colossi or a Warp Prism, against Bio, you're not worried about really anything for quite some time until Medivacs come out with Stim, because most early aggression can be dealt with just a photon overcharge, and this SCV he tucked in gets a follow-up scout, so he sees that there's nothing else in the main. He's like, yeah, just a robo, no forge, very straight up Protoss opening against Terran.
Yeah, and we are seeing Chrono come down on the Nexus instead of the Warp Gate, so I don't think he's worried about trying to get any units out
he's
quickly.
Just getting probes. He just wants to build that economy up. He has a probe on the map, but he's not up to anything fishy. He's just chilling.
Yeah, playing the cool game. And so, do you think that that's going to be good for? I mean, that probably is going to be good for MaSa. If you see you focus on economy, I'll have less to worry about when I send this bio ball over. Maybe I'll catch your mothership core out of position, and you'll have a bad day.
That's actually not a terrible idea. MaSa continues to, even though this looks like a very standard 3 racks follow up, he's not going for Stim. He's actually gone for a very fast combat shield, and what this is going to do with these really fast missile turrets, the missile turrets are basically MaSa's way of saying, if you were to do anything weird, like DTs or oracles behind this, I'm not going to instantly lose the game. But it also means that he doesn't need units back at home to defend against either of those things. So if he wants, and I think we're going to see him do it, he could just push out with all those Marines he has right now. He has so many Marines, and with combat shield about to finish, they're all going to be at an extra 10 hit points, and when you've got 20 Marines plus 10 hit points each, that's a very, very healthy, difficult-to-kill army.
Absolutely. He's got 2 Marauders. So we have 4 Stalkers that are going to be out. The 4th one is on the way. Going to be out when he gets over there, and it's going to be...
I like this Reaper bait. Maybe he could have waited a bit longer with this. Getting the probe kill is very nice, but he's pulling this army around. Maybe he wanted to force a photon overcharge. I don't think Bales is won to making that mistake, as it would really hurt him. But a photon overcharge plus 5 Stalkers... I think Bales should be able to defend against this. He just doesn't want to let this army get on top of his units or those probes. One Stalker gets killed.
And Mothership Core is going to go down. You might even get some more Stalkers. Now he's just gets to move into the main.
Just going into the main base. This really complicates things. No more photon overcharge. The Sentry was not in position to stop this army from advancing.
Yep, so there's a Zealot Sentry. I mean, that's not really going to do anything. There are probes that are going to go down. Units are going to go down. This is going to be a huge amount of damage, Nate.
Yeah, this is really, really nice for MaSa. He killed a few Stalkers, killed the Sentry, killed 5 probes, the Mothership Core as well. He finds himself still a little bit behind in workers, but that robotics bay isn't even done yet, and now Stim is coming in. We have Medivacs that'll be starting reasonably soon. I think he waited a little bit to start that starport, so probably distracted a bit by his own micro. And that actually could be enough to let Bales get back into this. It's not like he's in a terrible economic position. He just lost a lot of very expensive units.
Yep, absolutely. So the defense is going to be down for a little bit. Mothership Core halfway done. First Colossi is on the way. So we won't have a Photon Overcharge. We will have a Colossi and some Gateway units. And with the Observers, shouldn't be a threat for Widow Mine drops or any kind of follow-ups like that.
Yeah, I mean, he does have still a little ways to go before the Medivacs route, about another minute. And we do have Stim closing in, but I don't think you want to push into a Protoss with Stim and no Medivacs, because if you just get force fielded into those Colossi, you're going to be sour about life.
Yeah, absolutely. He is going pretty Marauder heavy this time, like he has the previous game. So, he's going to have that meat inside his army, definitely be able to take out Colossi early if he has to, if he gets the opportunity.
He's going for a very protein-heavy composition, very strong, lean army,
MaSa is showing the Marauder gains.
Yeah. It's very important versus Protoss. We saw how good his control was to spread around and really bait those Colossi out of position again and again. on Cactus Valley. And, Marines are good, but they die pretty quickly when they stim and they're spread out like that because the medevacs can't heal all of them, and then the Colossi can just clean house. So you really need to keep that Marauder count very, very high. And he doesn't have to worry as well about Phoenix this game, so he could afford to build even fewer Marines than he did last map.
Now, we see a weird position. If you look at that proxy pylon up at the top, I mean, is that close enough for an aggressive pylon? He's going to warp in on the low ground?
I don't actually think so. I mean, maybe he'll use it to hide some tech later on, but this isn't the most aggressive pylon ever. I guess it's not too far from the third base, but maybe he anticipated that he wouldn't want to take too close of a third. MaSa's pressuring the natural, but with 2 Colossi here, it's really risky to move in.
No, all right. So he did have concussive shell down, but that wasn't enough.
I'm not sure if he's going to dive in.
It.
He does get it eventually, but he's bled out a lot of his bioforces to make this happen so far.
Yep, a lot of zealots there to give that nice buffer between the other gateway units.
If he had Blink right there, then I think those Stalkers could have maybe made something happen with the Colossus to back them up, but still... you made a really good point. That only pylon he has to try to counterattack or harass is really far away from that third base. So it's going to take him some time if he wants to put pressure on. And to be frank, with the pressure that MaSa is putting on, he needs his warp-ins at home to defend.
Yeah, I think MaSa could have gotten away with a few scans the last few games. Observers always hovering right over his army kind of thing. He does get it. Look at that.
Yeah, now he gets one. This is very good. I will say it hurts that he lost that Colossus earlier, because now if he has 3 Colossi, dealing with this army is so easy. He does get forced up, though. It's okay, just going to boost over to your main, but the Colossi aren't that far away.
Oh, he's going to drop on top of him.
I don't think there's enough bio to do that. And he gets another Colossus low, but Blink is done. Really, really nice.
2 medevacs, not full, but 2 medevacs. That's very expensive.
Yeah, every medevac he kills is really nice, because as that Colossus count climbs, he will have to consider at some point building Vikings. And if he decides not to build Vikings, and that Colossi count keeps killing those medevacs, he won't really be able to drop on top of that army. He needs a good 8-10 medevacs to do a big play like that.
Yeah. So we see the Colossi, they're just hanging around. He's keeping his force back. They're not really going for any counterattack or something, just all right, you keep getting shut down, I'm going to take a third base.
Yeah, I don't think there's an armory for MaSa either. So even with this third base that he's gotten, and now the second starport, we could... Okay, he does have an armory. That's really important. I guess no +2 attack had me a little bit confused. So he doesn't have to do any type of weird SCV pull play. That's very important to note. But going for the second starport and starting Vikings means, this Observer, really good spotting those medevacs. But it means he can take a third base. And he can spread his army out perfectly now because it's he saw the medevacs.
Now we get the third getting attacked. That is going to get canceled easy.
Yeah, he's done a really good job of just pulling for positioning. Even if the army gets cleaned up, he's still going to lose the third base. No cancel.
Oh, that was expensive as heck.
And that Widow Mine is still there. He scans the main, and he's like, you have an army there. Well, I'm not going to drop into that army and just give you, 20 supply for free. Or 30 supply, actually. 3 medevacs worth. And now Bales has to be... this is one of those things that made me ask earlier, the map vetoes must have gone in a very interesting direction. There's only so many actual vetoes because it's a best of 5, but the map order, I think, going for a more out of the blue map might have been preferable to playing on just a straight up map that's very Terran favored. Yeah,
I think earlier in the game, before he got so fortified, MaSa was very susceptible because he does have that extremely exposed third to some, zealot aggression, some sort of harassment. But I think that window has passed, and now it's the Terran's game on this map.
Yeah, there's been no harass. There's been no big counterattack plays from that one pylon. That probe could have moved forward and made another pylon at any point in this game. And we're just going to keep seeing this. He's going to keep harassing. Look at this. 3 Marauders run in, take all the shields off this Colossus. He drops right on top of it, picks off both of them. And MaSa's just looking to take the 3. He's trying to make it happen. There's still a lot here. Those upgrades are looking good as they finish up now for Bales. He has charge, but once again, we're going to see Bales potentially forced into a big attack position. He's got the 3rd Nexus almost done. I imagine he's going to want to situate himself on it and consider pushing because he's cleaned up a lot of Terran forces right here.
Yep, that was a lot of gateway units doing a lot of great work for the Protoss. We saw the Colossi coming out. That would have been the end of that little bio ball right there.
Unfortunately, did lose all those Colossi that were in that army, so the drop on top of the Terran, not bad. Picks off a few sentries here for free. Really, really nice. And that Colossus isn't actually with the army once again. Another one did finish, but you need this whole army to fight together for it to really work.
Yeah, one thing I will say about Bales, though, is he is on top of the Zealot choice instead of going over into stock
He's got
production.
A lot of gateway units. He's been really, really good at this because he keeps pushing the army back. No matter how much MaSa picks off, there's always enough charge lots and Blink Stalkers underneath it to still push him away, which is, in my opinion, super impressive considering that it's usually the Colossi that are supposed to push the Terran army away. MaSa doesn't seem to care. He's building 3 medevacs at a time. He doesn't have a single Viking right now. He couldn't care less. He's just going ham with those drops.
Yeah, no, the benefit of going for that Maru style is that you get more medevacs, you have more healing, and you have more bioforce to take down the gateway units. So you can go up against the Colossi, you can drop on top of them, take them out immediately, and then you're just dealing gateway versus bio.
Yeah, and I think it's a really, really smart way to play. Like, this is just allowing him to be all over the map. And Bale's still done a really good job of keeping the supply close. We have that transition into High Templar coming. But with no gases on the 3rd, this is purely for Archons. And Archons are going to be really effective against the drop-on-top style since that splash damage in that low range is so useful. But look at this, the dripping drop into the main base. He kills a Robo Facility. He can actually kill the Templar Archives as well. So no more High Templar, no more Archons, no Storm, no Colossi. He can only build Gateway units right now.
Yeah, he's just going to trade out with this. I don't think he's planning to get away. He's going to try to get the medevacs out of there, though. We do see the Archon chasing down those medevacs, but I don't think they got any out of that one.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm once again considering, is he going to force Bales into a massive all-in counterattack? Because MaSa is about to secure that 4th base. It's almost done. There's still been no Zealot harassment in this direction, so that 4th base is going to be able to finish very easily. And MaSa, he's just got a ton of money right now, and with all those medevacs, that healing power is endless for his Terran army.
Yeah, I think this has been canon for the last, for the whole series really, is that MaSa is controlling the game. He's controlling the tempo. He's telling Bales where he wants the game to go.
Yeah, and it's basically Bale's been sitting there just taking a bunch of punches in the gut, and it's impressive that he doesn't fall over very quickly, but he's still wobbling, and he's still in a position where it's not clear that he's going to be able to get back up if MaSa knocks him down. So this is do or die for him. If he wants to get in Premier for Season 3, he needs to make a massive play right now to defend all this aggression that's about to hit him.
I don't think there's enough bio there to take that at the 3rd, but there is a counterattack. Both armies getting somewhat pulled out of position. MaSa pulls out at the last second, though. He's not going to go for that natural drop again.
Yeah, I mean, dropping into that many Zealots is very risky. That's where you want to make use of these Widow Mines that we all have positioning at the bottom of this ramp by the 3rd base area. But MaSa, with that 1 base advantage, still feeling pretty good. Tries to drop on top of the Colossi, not going to get it. Those Zealots, man, cleaning house.
Yep, those Zealots it's a scary, formidable force to go against. You don't want those, especially on top of things like Marauders. There are a lot of Widow Mines, though, now.
But there's mines now, and this could be really scary. If the bio baits these Zealots forward and then, just loads up. That's exactly what he does. A ton of damage being done to all these Zealots. Really smart play, actually, by MaSa to bait him out this far, and now Bales has had enough. He's pushing across the map for Colossi, a pylon being warped in to help reinforce. He does not have that many Zealots with this army.
Yep, yeah, it's kind of no bueno. There are a lot of medevacs that are very low. One shot from the Archon going to do a lot of damage to those, but he does have a lot of bio under it.
Yeah, and the main base is basically forfeit now. There's nothing here to really defend. If he warps in here, he won't have enough power to actually make a big attack work, so he has to commit to one way or the other. There's a reasonable amount of resources. Here comes the rest of that big Zealot army. He's going to try to make it happen right here, right now. The Zealots are going to come in. SCVs from behind are actually distracting the Colossi. The Colossi are not shooting at the bio army, so all the gateway units get killed.
Yeah, this is going to be the end of the game. MaSa is going to take out all those Colossi, going to take out the Mothership Core, and we are going to see very soon GG from Bales.
Yeah, really great play. Like, just pulling those SCVs, they don't kill much, but, they distracted those Colossi, and it's like, yes, we killed the 20 SCVs at the end. Not going to be enough to actually kill the army. GG, MaSa takes the 3-0. He will advance to Premier League round of 32 for Season 3 of the World Championship Series, and MaSa was just all over the place that game. I really liked, especially at the end, like when he realized, like, oh, you're only defending this with Zealots? Well, I'm just going to plant 3 Widow Mines that you won't notice are there and lift up and try to fly away.
Yep, the Terror of Toronto. I really like the style that he was using, that drop play. He was going for that Maru style. He was going for, pulling the Protoss army apart, and I think it was a wise choice. He used the map to his advantage.
Yeah, it was a really, really great set of plays by MaSa. Like, just being all over like that and making all those little pushes here and there at the start of the game, going for the early aggression. Didn't always work out for him, but it also got him a lot of information about what his opponent's build order was. And at the start of this game, it was quite good. Like, he managed to get the Mothership Core, a couple Stalkers, a Sentry, a couple Probes, and can't really ask for too much more as Terran.
Yep, no, and I think that Bales, one of the mistakes he made is he definitely gave MaSa the opportunity to control the tempo of the game. Protoss has the tools in the early game to say, hey, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to put an Oracle and put DTs in your base, things like that. None of that. Quick expansions, and that gives the Terran the opportunity to say, all right, it's pressure time.
It's nice that Bales likes to play a very macro-oriented Protoss style, but if you do that, you need to be able to handle all the different pressure that Terran can bring, because you know, as both of us are Terrans, we look at TvP, we're like, okay, we always worry about stuff like that. We always worry about the Oracles, the DTs, but when they don't come, you generally feel pretty good. And MaSa was allowed to, as you said, dictate the pace of that series. So a nice 3-0 for MaSa as he advances on. We have 2 more best of 5s to bring you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The next series, I believe, will be Jaedong versus Semper. We have our Korean versus our American, and a Terran versus Zerg. You're watching the World Championship Series Challenger. We will be back after a short commercial break.